Help us to recognize that each of us is equal, that we are all equal in humanity. Give us your protection so that we may live in safety together and grow strong and free together. We pray that everyone will find love and peace in their daily lives. Dear God, we pray for our political leader. We pray for members of this team. Protect them, God, and give them the strength and courage to continue their service to our nation without fear or favor. Thank you, God, for keeping your children free in our democratic state, where every creed and race finds an equal place. Dear God, we beseech you to bless our leaders, bless our people, and bless our country.
Tonight, Team UNC joins with you as we continue our journey to rebuild our nation and restore the hope of our citizens. We join with you at a time when the Rowley regime is boasting about all it has done to deal with the COVID-19 crisis, when the fact is many of our country have been subjected to increasing hardship, reduced standards of living, rising unemployment, growing poverty, and absence of opportunities for the betterment before COVID-19 came into our shores. Today, while they boast about the salary grants that they have distributed, the hampers that they have provided, and loans that will issue, we must remember, in the last 5 years, over 60,000 have lost their jobs under this administration. Hundreds of businesses have closed down due to the stagnating economy. Citizens have suffered from high food prices. Fuel prices have increased 3 times. Forex availability have reduced while taxes have increased. Crisis, chaos, and instability affected the people of Trinidad and Tobago before COVID-19. Thanks to the poor governance that has plagued this nation when the I.A.N took office on September 7, 2015. But tonight, Team UNC joins with every single citizen of this nation who dreams of a better country and national state of affairs to say enough is enough. Tonight, led by the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, Team UNC joins hands with each and every citizen of this country to stand against the oppression, underdevelopment, and mismanagement which we have been faced with in the last 5 years. From listening to our 3 dynamic soldiers, we'll be fighting to restore representation to the people of Diego Martin. We see clearly that the UNC is the only party with a plan to restore this nation. Tonight, we send a warning to the PNM in those seats. These candidates are coming fully equipped with the plans and determination to change the lives of the thousands which this government has taken for granted for the last 5 years. In a few weeks, the people of this nation will have the most important decision they have ever had to make in the history of our nation. As a country, we will have to choose between Rowley's chaos or Kamala's track record of progress. This Rowley regime must hang its head in shame for the destruction and damage it has done to our once resilient energy sector. This Rowley regime has broken and brutalized decades of hard work through their misguided lack of political will to secure our national energy sector. Tonight, I want to ask the Minister of Finance, how does he expect to increase this nation's economic growth as he promised, and when the Point Lisas estate, which has been the backbone of this nation's energy sector, is in total crisis? How does he plan to increase revenue, increase our gross domestic product, increase jobs and even foreign investments, when for the first time in our nation's history, the major plants on the Point Lisas estate are either shut down or idle? It is a total disaster. An energy sector which once attracted billions in investment is now struggling to even facilitate those who have operated there for years. Since this administration took office, we have seen a consistent closure of the once heavily productive plants. In 2016, we saw Mittal close. In 2017, Methanol Holdings closed one of its plants. And in 2019, Yara closed. And in the last 4 months of this year, we have seen Nutrient, Titan, and Methanol, all their plants have been on idle. For 5 straight years, we have seen workers lose their jobs in the energy sector. For 5 years straight, we have seen this once gold mine industry lose revenue rapidly. For 5 years straight, we have seen energy investors leave our shore and leave our sector to go elsewhere. As a country, we must not for 1 minute allow this government to blame COVID-19 for the crash in our national energy sector. This sector has been falling apart since September 7, 2015, due to Keith Rowley's inept and lazy approach. Today, citizens must ask the Prime Minister, why after all those foreign trips to the offices of oil companies is the once robust downstream sector falling apart? Why have the profits of the National Gas Company fallen by 85% under this Rowley regime? Why have manufacturers been complaining about possible increase in natural gas prices since January of this year? All of this has emerged due to the reckless approach of not incentivizing, modernizing, and innovating our energy sector to be attractive as well as competitive. After 5 years, not only has this administration crashed the downstream industry at Point Lisas, but they have crippled this country's ability to increase gas and oil production in the past 5 years. 5 years ago, they promised you to create fiscal regimes to maximize recovery of the hydrocarbon resources. This was all a lie, as today none of that has occurred, while plant closures continue to increase. 5 years ago, they promised to deliver an environment where companies can be more aggressive in discovering oil and gas. That was all a lie, as this government has only held one single bid round, which was not successful. By failing to secure our energy sector, they have failed to secure the livelihoods of thousands of individuals, as many jobs have been lost. Many fringe communities have been destroyed. Our country has been deprived of revenue, and foreign exchange has dried up. Ask yourself, my brothers and sisters, how can our economy be in a positive place if the energy sector has collapsed? And I would like to turn to Petrotrin. It is disheartening that 18 months later, the people of this country are still waiting to see a single positive from this administration's selfish, heartless, and wicked decision to close down Petrotrin. With a stroke of a pen, this government not only destroyed our national patrimony, but they have placed tens of thousands of lives into turmoil. Thousands of our young professionals were thrown on the breadlines. Thousands of Petrotrin retirees have had their health plans ruined. Thousands of fence-line businesses throughout Marabella, Claxon Bay, and Couva were destroyed. As a country, we must ask why. What good has the people of this country received for this decision, which the Rowley regime cannot account up to this day? 18 months later, why hasn't the refinery restarted? With every passing day, the equipment becomes less valuable and runs the risk of becoming scrap metal. The asset integrity is suspect. Thanks to disclosure, Paria is forced to spend millions in already scarce US dollars to purchase fuel for the local market. Today, we are feeling the loss of our refinery, as a decrease in the price of oil on the international market has caused Heritage to store millions of barrels of crude oil. Had the refinery been open today, we would have been able to utilize this for our local markets and save millions of US dollars, which is already a scarce commodity. But as a country, we must ask, what really has changed at these companies? Up to last week, media reports showed that the CEOs of these companies, both Paria and Heritage, earn in excess of $100,000 per month. It seems the only reason this government wanted Petrotrin closed was to get rid of the workers. We must continue to demand accountability for the assets of Petrotrin, as this government's failure to operationalize the procurement legislation means millions worth of assets could be easily and cheaply sold out without any form of transparency. You will just remember of the valuable real estate that Petrotrin owns. As a people, we must never forgive them for the hurt they have caused. We must never forget the blatant lies of the Prime Minister when he promised the people of Marabella that he would not close down Petrotrin. On the news, I have seen David Abdullah, they say he's my namesake as I carry the name David, has opted to contest the Pointe-a-Pierre seat for the MSJ. I want to ask Mr. Abdullah, where was he when thousands of workers from Petrotrin were fired? Where was David Abdullah when thousands of local businesses were shut down? The people of Pointe-a-Pierre will never forget the PNM or Mr. Abdullah when the next election is called. As this government continues to boast that it is distributing relief to those citizens affected by the pandemic, we must question if they are genuinely helping those in need or using this as political patronage to win votes in this upcoming election. At a time when this government has been forced to tap into our sovereign savings and borrow billions, it is a slap in the face to so many burdened citizens that reports have emerged where this government has been utilizing state resources for alleged political gain. Last week, the opposition, through Dr. Munilal, revealed to the Parliament various lists which demonstrated where only half the quotas of hampers given to PNN MPs' offices were being given to UNC MPs, while the other half was being distributed to PNM operatives within these UNC constituencies. These lists clearly showed where MPs such as the Attorney General received 100 hampers, while UNC MPs like myself in Pointe-a-Pierre, Princess Tong and Siparia only received 50, as the other remaining portion, or the other 50, was given to PNM officials in these constituencies, which are all held by UNC MPs. What was quite damning was the silence not only by the ministers who spoke after Dr. Munilal in the Parliament, but by the Ministry of Social Development or any other ministry to respond publicly. These claims must be taken seriously, as even the Guardian editorial on June 16th have called for answers into these corrupt acts. It is truly shameful that during a pandemic that this government has opted to manipulate state resources to earn an edge over the opposition in an upcoming general election. These revelations, however, raise further questions such as, is this government also manipulating who receives the salary grant and other monetary grants for political gains? This is what I ask. Is the government manipulating the number of food cards given to the PNN MPs versus UNC MPs? I ask that question. Would the small business loans be used to buy votes? And I really hope not, because the small business community, the small and medium-sized businesses really need loans to help them sustain their businesses and to survive in this country. After 5 years of this Rowley-led PNM, one thing remains clear: the people of Trinidad and Tobago cannot trust them. We trusted them to create jobs. Instead, over 60,000 lost their jobs. We trusted them to create a better standard of living. Today, thousands are suffering as never before. We trusted them to improve our education sector. Instead, our children have been left behind. This government has consistently acted against the best interests of our citizens. It is a sad day for our democracy when this betrayal, lies, malice, and incompetence of the Rowley regime has reached the international stage as it has done with the Venezuelan crisis. This government continues to run with a fake narrative that the opposition demanded sanctions on our country. What we did was expose the immoral actions and lies of this administration. On June 12, 2020, international news agency Reuters carried a story where shipping magnate Wilhelm Rupert was being investigated by U.S. officials for breaching U.S. sanctions by importing fuel from Trinidad into Venezuela. It wasn't Kamla who sold the fuel to Rupert, it was Paria. It wasn't Kamla who initially left out the sanction clause, it was Paria Company. It wasn't Kamla who failed to do the proper due diligence on the sale, it was the Paria management. Today, Paria Fuel has many questions to answer, such as to why did the general manager and chairman get involved in such a transaction? Why did the request for this sale come one day after the sanctioned Venezuelan Vice President Delcy visited Trinidad and Tobago? Our country must see that the only people who violated the well-being of our citizens is this government, who not only allowed this suspicious transaction, but allowed sanctioned individuals to enter our country while our own borders were closed. Does the Prime Minister not care about the relationship with our allies? Does the Prime Minister not care about the repercussions on our citizens? As a country, we must stand up to this careless and irresponsible leadership. I would like to tell you of our track record by the United National Congress. The people of this nation, our economy, our social framework, and our scarce, sacred institution have all been battered by the Rowley regime. The neglect of the Rowley regime has extended throughout every sector and every community of our country. The people of this nation deserve a leader who will work to better their lives based on the diverse skills, cultures and backgrounds to ensure we all achieve our true potential. Kamla Persad-Bissessar is that leader. Tonight I remind you and ask you to find hope in the track record of the United National Congress led by the great and dynamic Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Kamla created over 50,000 jobs. Her government secured those already employed by settling over 130 wage agreements. Her government turned the country around from recession to accomplish 1.7% growth. She created the Children's Life Fund to care for the vulnerable in our society. Her government built 100 schools to ensure our children had a bright future. Kamla Persad-Bissessar built 8 police stations to ensure a safer society. She provided 500 new vehicles to the police force to allow our protective services to fight crime, improved community development by building over 30 bridges, reduced inflation from 16% to 6% to ensure prosperity, increased 24/7 water supply from 18% to 73% to better our standard of living. And what is our water supply today? It is in a horrendous state. Increased the minimum wage from $9 to $15. Kamla Persad-Bissessar built the Cuba Children's Hospital and opened it. And she also completed and opened the Tobago Hospital for the people of Tobago. Under Kamla Persad-Bissessar, each and every sector of our country was improved. Each and every citizen, regardless of their political persuasion, ethnic background, religious belief, or economic standing, benefited from the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar government and her team. Tomorrow, which is Friday, our country will celebrate Labor Day, a day which honors the struggles of our workers, achievements of our labor movement, and all those who have fought for equality for our working class. Unfortunately, this Labor Day, workers throughout our country have little to celebrate, given the betrayal and poor treatment they have faced under this government, who has disregarded many of our key workers throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Today, we have a Minister of Labor who has done nothing to enhance the lives of workers. She promised the pandemic leave 3 months ago. Up to this day, it is yet to be implemented. Not a single wage negotiations has been settled by this government in the last 5 years. The National Tripartite Committee has collapsed. They boasted that the refinery will be sold to OWTU, yet this has not been delivered. Promised amendments to the Retrenchment and Severance Benefits Act, yet this was never done. Tonight, as I wish all workers and labor activists in our country a happy Labor Day 2020, on behalf of our Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, as well as Team UNC, I would like to thank them for their determined efforts to build this country as the next UNC government commits to enhance their lives, wages, and working conditions. As I conclude, the time is now. Friends, throughout Trinidad and Tobago, tonight I tell each citizen of this country that the fate of our nation is in the hands and on their fingertips. In the last 5 years, we have seen that the Rowley P&M has not improved any single aspect of your life. In the last 5 years, you have seen that the United National Congress, led by Kamla Persad-Bissessar, is the only movement to restore the prosperity of our citizens, rebuild our national institutions, and renew our future hopes. The vision of Kamla Persad-Bissessar has attracted patriots from all walks of life, reflecting the diverse multicultural beauty of our nation as candidates. That is why I call on the people of Vista Bella and Gulfview and all of San Fernando West to come out and support our dynamic Sean Sobers, a young lawyer who you are guaranteed, and I tell you, does not spread untruths like the Attorney General. One thing you are sure of, Sean Sobers does not lie. People of Tunapuna, come out and support a man who has flown our flag on the international field. Support the only other candidate for Tunapuna, David Nakid, to use his innovation and dedicated approach to bring people-centered development to that great constituency of Tunapuna. In Moruga, you have young Michelle Benjamin, who has served valiantly at the local government level. Support her to bring an enhanced way of life for all of Moruga. St. Joseph, you have suffered too long without proper representation. Give your support behind the dynamic Aloy Hunt, a man who has dedicated his life to protecting our nation and now dedicating it to bettering the lives of the people of St. Joseph. Tonight, I ask all of Trinidad and Tobago, give our country a chance of returning to success, stability, and sustainable development. I ask tonight of all of Trinidad and Tobago to stand with the UNC, led by the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, for a better future. The time is now. Let us do it.
Hello everyone. For the past few weeks, we have all been anxiously watching the seemingly unstoppable spread of the COVID-19 virus throughout the world. We felt a heaviness in our hearts when news broke that the virus had reached our country, and I'm sure your heart grew even heavier when, in spite of the extraordinary efforts of healthcare workers, the virus stole the lives of some of our citizens. We remember them in our hearts and in our prayers. Added to our human loss, we now see many struggling to get food for their families. This is a tragedy as well. Thousands of our citizens have been out of work for more than a month. They wonder what will become of their jobs when the lockdown ends. Businesses are struggling to pay their employees and to cover costs, and they wonder if they will have customers when they reopen, if they are able to reopen at all. The situation is indeed grim. As a grandmother, I've struggled to make sense of all of this to those in my family. I had to explain to the children in my extended family, who were eager to come visit me for my birthday, that we just could not celebrate as a complete family this year. This is a sacrifice we all have to make today, so we can celebrate another birthday, another Eid, another Diwali, or another Christmas. My family, like yours, has been unable to go about our normal lives, staying at home to help stop the spread of the virus. Many of us must have felt at some point in the last few weeks a little afraid, nervous, and unsure. But having to accept this is temporary, and we must make all sacrifices in the name of defeating this virus which threatens our way of life. Although COVID-19 has brought fear and uncertainty, it has also brought out the best in many of us. Many citizens are helping our neighbors who are less fortunate by distributing much-needed hampers and supplies. We have seen taxi drivers providing free transport for senior citizens, cafes catering free lunch meals for children, and bakeries offering free bread. And of course, we have witnessed the selfless acts of service displayed by our nation's medical and security professionals, from doctors to policemen, nurses to members of the Defense Force, to paramedics and administrative hospital staff. They are indeed our national heroes. I express my heartfelt gratitude to all these national heroes who leave their homes and families to do their jobs dutifully in this dangerous time to serve us all. To those citizens still in hospital and quarantine, I wish you strength in your recovery. All of these examples of our true Trinbagonian spirit of unity and togetherness should remind us that throughout the battle with this virus, we each have the best weapon, a resilient spirit. Our resilience as a people has seen us through many dark days in our history. We have faced our troubles and returned to work and life, each time rebuilding even stronger and better. We are not the first generation of Trinbagonians to endure great hardship and sacrifice, nor will we be the last. But like those before us, we will endure and overcome this difficult time. Citizens of our great land, I promise you we will get through this together. I promise you we will heal our nation. While it is understandable that saving the lives of our citizens is a top priority now, we must also seriously plan for saving the livelihoods of all the people of our land. Even before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, Trinidad and Tobago was in a very vulnerable economic state. Now it has all been made worse. The UNC has been looking ahead. We have been watching the dark clouds gathering for some time now, and we have been quietly doing our work, preparing for when those dark clouds burst open, preparing to make sure we can offer you economic solutions that can protect you and help you keep going. This applies more than ever in a post-COVID-19 world. We must be prepared and be prepared to act fast. The UNC's Economic Manifesto is our blueprint for how we will protect and create jobs, bring benefits to every citizen, and generate a sense of hope that things will get better in our great nation. Our focus is economic resilience, built in our people's spirit to fight and do what needs to be done. We know we can count on all citizens to step up. We have meticulously crafted our economic manifesto to navigate this unprecedented and rapidly evolving COVID-19 pandemic crisis, which is like no other. The work the UNC has done for economic recovery is in the national interest. It is for every single citizen, and therefore I believe it would be selfish of us to hold on to it, given how valuable it is to rebuilding our country right now. The lives of our citizens matter more than politics. I appeal to the Prime Minister and his team to put people before party and politics and accept our plan. The UNC's COVID-19 blueprint for turning our economy around will restore growth and restart the diversification process away from the dominant energy sector. Our economic plan is complete, but we know a lot depends on the way in which this virus evolves. It also depends on the effectiveness of containment measures and the development of an effective drug or working vaccine, all of which are very hard to predict. And we know, even if we manage to control the spread of the virus, we cannot be complacent. We must continue to protect against future outbreaks through rigorous testing, tracing, and isolating. We recognize that we must rebuild a new economic system against a troubled background of geopolitical power shifts, trade wars, climate change, artificial intelligence, and tech dominance, and possibly social upheavals. We will therefore update and refine our economic manifesto when circumstances materially change, incorporating additional policy measures as necessary to facilitate strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth. We know that within the next month, the government's economic recovery team is expected to present a draft plan with recommendations on how to restart the economy. That is why, in the true spirit of national unity and bipartisanship, the UNC is willing to share our economic manifesto with the government and others so that we can get a head start on turning our economy around. Here are just 5 of the UNC's proposed economic booster shots for recovery and growth. The first recommendation we have is to reduce the tax burden. Our economic manifesto is pro-business, but it has a human face. We have placed special focus on restarting and supporting small and medium-sized businesses affected by the pandemic. There are many families who will come out of this pandemic having their savings and financial security stolen. They will need months of help to get back on their feet. We believe reducing the heavy tax burden on our citizens and businesses most affected by the pandemic will help our citizens start to regain their footing. So, we will reduce personal and corporate income taxes, simplify the VAT regime, remove basic food items from the VAT net, and improve the efficiency of the tax system by strengthening the Board of Inland Revenue, the VAT Office, and the Customs and Excise. Our second booster is to jumpstart food security. Food security is an absolute essential in a post-COVID-19 world. A protracted pandemic will disrupt the global food supply chains, making it very difficult to move food from the world's bread baskets to the places where the food is to be consumed. The UNC has placed agriculture and food security at the center of our economic manifesto. We believe there must be a jumpstart to our agriculture sector by leasing 25,000 acres of former Carney lands to create agricultural parks. At the same time, we propose spending at least 10% of the PSIP to develop agricultural access roads, irrigation and drainage for these agricultural parks. We will also incentivize the private sector to establish an agro-processing plant. There will be no more wastage or dumping of produce, which is a bane for many of our farmers. Now, more than ever, fuel security is critically important to a thriving economy. No one will soon forget the horror of oil prices on the futures market crashing to less than zero the first time in its history, as the pandemic leaves the world awash with oil and not enough storage capacity. We believe government must re-examine its plan for Petrotrin, and we are proposing to restart a reformed Pointe-à-Pitre oil refinery. By reopening Petrotrin, we will have greater fuel security, save foreign exchange, provide meaningful jobs, and ensure the company continues to contribute to the Treasury. Our fourth economic booster is for government to invest in renewable energy. Why invest in renewable energy now? Because the COVID-19 pandemic and the sudden economic lockdown have revealed just how interconnected we are on this earth. The reduction in emissions from less air and land traffic has led to the Himalayan mountain range becoming visible in northern India for the first time in almost 30 years. It has led to seeker there feeling comfortable enough to wander through city streets in Japan. And we've seen the waterways of the usually crowded Venice, Italy, are clearer and visible from space. Now is the time. This is an opportunity to springboard into climate change policy and action for all countries, and for us to seize the opportunity to update the country's environmental policies and legislation in keeping with the ambitious climate change goals we agreed to in the landmark 2015 Paris Agreement. The UNC's initiatives in renewable energy and recycling, such as the establishment of a solar energy park at Tamana and industrial recycling parks across the East-West Corridor, will reduce our carbon footprint whilst adding to our environmental resiliency. Our fifth economic booster is the creation of 3 innovative funds to mobilize financial resources. Financial resources will remain tight for the foreseeable future. Public debt is rising to dangerous levels. The UNC intends to create these 3 innovative funds so that we can mobilize financial resources to finance the programs in our economic manifesto. We believe government should now adopt this approach and start a National Food Security Fund, a National Infrastructure Fund, and a National Climate Trust Fund. These funds, take note, will not raise our public debt. The National Food Security Fund will invest in land, farms, forestry, and agricultural businesses abroad to give us greater food security. This fund will be a wholly owned subsidiary of the HSF, the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. This fund will be capitalized by allowing the HSF to invest up to 10% of its total assets in alternative investments. This will mobilize about US $500 million in capital for the National Food Security Fund. The National Infrastructure Fund will support strategic investments in public transport, solar, water, wastewater facilities, climate resilient infrastructure, and green housing. The National Infrastructure Fund will be capitalized using the idle cash balances of state-controlled institutional investors like the National Insurance Board and the Unit Trust Corporation. This will mobilize an initial $4 billion in capital for the National Infrastructure Fund. Life insurance companies and private pension funds, they can be encouraged to become either shareholders or investors in the National Infrastructure Fund, thereby substantially boosting its pool of capital. The third fund, the Green Fund, should be repurposed into a national climate trust fund, which will finance new green technology startups and provide the financial backing we need to create a low-carbon economy. The government should use the $5 billion in cash balances of the Green Fund to capitalize the Climate Trust Fund. This will attract international grant funding and private sector capital, substantially boosting the pool of funds available for climate-smart investments. So, we devised our economic strategy around 12 prosperity engines spread throughout communities in Trinidad and Tobago, which will ensure we stabilize, grow, and diversify our economy. These prosperity engines will focus on agriculture, energy, creative industries, tourism, infrastructure, renewable energy, recycling, biotechnology, and that most important of all, the digital economy. We believe government should mirror this approach. Our plan can save precious time in the rebuilding process and help people become employed quicker, earn paychecks faster, be productive sooner, and indeed thrive longer. It can help families and our country heal sooner rather than later. The measures in our plan, if implemented, will place our economy onto a path of growth and strength. I encourage everyone to visit our website and our Facebook, our UNC website and Facebook, to find out more about the UNC's economic manifesto for post-pandemic world, and I invite you to provide your feedback to us on our policies and programs. We have done thorough research and planning and believe with our COVID-19 economic plan, we can create 50,000 new jobs within the next 5 years and double our non-energy exports to $5 billion by 2025. Above all, let us be hopeful. We will return to work. We will go to Maracas or Queen Anne or Pigeon Point for a swim. We will return to Coral River for a cook. We will go back to the movies, to the malls. And we will meet our friends by David Junction for doubles soon. Stay safe, TNT. Stay blessed. We will meet again soon. God bless you all.
Father God, it's me.